sound cards work better with MIDI files. It all depends on the state of the driver. Now, I will tell you that particular sound card we were using was on an ESS chipset. I think it was the 1868, 69.
Can I interrupt you for a
Which is
second?
what we had the most consistent results with. However, there are some certain situations where even it will die on you. What we found in that particular case is had we had an open MIDI file in the player and played an AVI file after that, if we try to play a second AVI file, it would hang the system. As opposed to with certain other sound cards, that's not a problem. But in certain sound cards, if all we did was load a MIDI file, not even having it playing, we got 120% CPU usage.
Let me interrupt you for a second. Anybody want to be a cameraman? I need someone to point the camera for me.
You want somebody to work the camera?
If you want a copy of it.
Does anybody want a copy of it?
Or if you want us to go out on the broadcast.
Camera volunteers. Or if you want to go out on
Over there. Yeah.
So yes, it does work, but you do have to figure out what you want to use it for and then pick and choose among your sound cards. And I don't have any one particular best recommendation. All I can say is in terms of our experience, it was the ESS chipset that we had the best luck with, but it really depends in part on what system is going in, etc. Yeah, just to repeat for the people that may be on the other end of outside of here, if they're webcasting. The question had to do with sound and sound cards in OS2. You really want to be sure, more so than the brand of the sound card. You want to look at the box or look at the instructions that come with it and know which sound generator chip that card is using. Because like you said, it's either the crystal chips or the ESS chips, and then there's a few others that have drivers that are fairly decent, but because a lot of times the list that comes up when you're trying to install it is not going to list your card. But if you can find something that lists the chipset, then your chances are going to be better. You're going to get something configured. I haven't used it, but I guess one of the booths in there had a utility that scans your multimedia setup and lets you know if you have interrupt conflicts or anything posed up in the MMPM ED files that might cause a problem too. And I haven't tried that, but I've heard other people say that's helpful.
I just like to ask a quick question. Anybody else in here? Is there anybody else besides David and I who use Sound Blaster cards at this point? Okay. Any of you people have problems with sound at this point? Using a Sound Blaster card?
Like a Sound Blaster 16.
Specifically the Sound Blaster 16, because I have found that that's more effectively close to me.
Not a compatible.
Yes, not a compatible.
Sound Blaster 16 is playing the head box.
I got a PNC Sound Blaster 16 that works. Totally fine. I think there's a piece of question for all 32. All 32.
All 32?
Sound Blaster
Difficult. It can be made to work, but it's difficult.
I've gotten the R32, no, R64 working, and you use the same drivers for both the R64 and the R32. The last time I checked, I think if you went to the bowels of Creative's website, but that was before Diamond acquired
I had half a clue what I was talking about.
There was some stuff there.
Trying to get a floor mount.
More recent drivers and ships
Floor mount?
before.
A mic stand. Right behind me? Oh, is it?
Yes, this is mic driver 2 or 3. The O2 or the O3. Wait, hold on.
I believe for the Sound Blaster stuff on the IBM Device Driver Toolkit, not the toolkit, the actual device driver pack, the latest Sound Blaster drivers are out there. For the 32 and the 64, we don't have any problems with it, with the current drivers. The stuff the chips are going for, you're going to beat yourself to death with.
Okay. In general, trying to use sound in Linux, OS2, and Windows.
card that I've had the least amount of trouble with is plain vanilla Sound Blaster 16. Okay. There are various versions of the Sound Blaster Live and the value pack and whatever. By the way, the difference between the value pack and the Sound Blaster Live non-value pack can sometimes be a daughter order that sounds problematic anyway. And the difference in the $40 to $45 card and $150 card, and there's no difference that I can hear. I think my ears are reasonably acute. Next question. In fact, let's see if we can do this. And we'll use that mic. And you guys chew up here, that'll make things a whole lot easier.
There's a problem I'm having with my laptop, like in the machine here. It's driving me nuts. I even had somebody else take a picture, I'll take a look at it, but he couldn't read it out. Wait a minute.
John,
Yeah?
microphone.
Two?
This one.
Try it. Okay.
That's good.
When it boots up, only if you use my laptop, think back, there's
Do me a favor, please talk into the mic a little bit, because is this being webcast, guys?
Yes.
I don't think I will. I don't have a problem with this thing. It's driving me nuts. I had somebody else in the exhibition, I'll take a look at it, and he thought he had his face, and it didn't work. Whenever it boots up, I get a message that says SIOC, ADRT, colon, network is unreachable. I don't have any network on the machine. I don't have any network software.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have the SIO COM drivers in your system?
No, that's a TCP/IP.
I know.
I take it in the mouse and doesn't think
It does, okay. Because that's one of the things that we've seen, is that there was that conflict between one of the SIO versions.
You said that was running fast.
What happens exactly?
Well, it boots up the drivers, and at some point, I don't remember which, it goes into a wait state, right? And the driver has wait, this is the part that drives him out. For about a minute.
Flash card. You must have done a hell of a lot of pictures that they work out too.
And then just press enter to the
640 by 480.
It has to do with PPCIT being loaded for support for the LAN, not just support for the mode.
Okay.
And that's what it's trying to do, it's trying to load the LAN version of PPCIT.
right. Because I have no line connection. Yeah. Oh, then what?
Where was I putting that?
Instead of sending there is a route command, and since you have dial-up and no network, so while you're booting, the route command is being issued. It says set up CMD. And the key event is set up that CMD to call that entity start, which is called out of the config that sits there boot time. You're getting two SCIO route commands, route errors, and you press enter. At that point, you have to press enter to continue on, and it brings up the workflow shell right at that point, right?
Right.
Now, if you, there's a statement you can run out, I believe it's either if configured route.
How can you use JPEG?
If you run that out, it will allow you to boot successfully, and then when you dial up, your route command, everything will be set up on dial-up. So, in your setup.cmd, it's a default route, so it's a route.
That whole thing is 20 minutes. That whole section is 20 minutes.
There's one comment.
Partially recorded at higher rate.
One comment. I do have a no modem connection to my desktop. I don't figure out.
Yeah, into the mic, please.
Well, maybe I'll just roll it. have my issues.
Because the tape must be really right.
I'm sure it's right by me. There you go.
Put it on the CD.
And now it's time to tell us to call. That was.
Okay. I've got a no motive connection to my investment.
Infrared mode.
Okay, I think that's the same with that. I think I have no problems with it.
No light there.
And what I'm doing is, connection, I just started thinking how you want to start it. So there is no land connection in there, but using engagement using a no motive, there's no hardware, because there's no land adapter. But that's what Rich was saying. If I take that out, then input will work.
It sets up the route.
Yeah.
It's trying to find that default gateway. Can't find it. Can't find the interface to find that, so it's running those two errors.
Well, it doesn't matter, if I have to plug in, it's going to a serial port.
Tell you what, it's good if you're portable. We'll rent that out and see if that takes care of it. It's pretty
I
complicated.
need to change my batteries. Can you guys do that?
Why not? Something else
Okay, yeah.
is problem with the card service.
For webcasting, has been, we want to try and do some more of the,
When you work with any CPM tag device, you want to be sure you're using the latest device driver, and be sure to follow the sequence and install it in the proper order. If not, you will have some definite problems.
okay,
Well, I understand that, but you also have part service, you gotta have it next
we'll get you working. Right, Alan. I got Warpstock read business and had a couple of problems. But one I could bring is I get a message sent to his when it's booting up, it says route, command failed, file exists. I get that twice in a row. In my command file, I got all the route commands there. I don't see anything obviously wrong. I've got 2 days in the machine. It's real bizarre. Yeah. It happens each time.
What happens if you have only one day?
I'm sorry.
Does it work correctly if you reduce it to one day?
I'm so scared to take anything out. What protocols are you trying to That's TCP/IP? TCP/IP and NetBIOS.
And NetBIOS.
Not open, but just independently.
What IP addresses have you assigned to the 2 days?
One is 192. 192, 168.10, 1 and 11.1.
10.1 and 11.1, so you're on 2 different subnets.
That's correct.
Any particular reason for that? As opposed to doing something like 198 or 192.168.10.1.2?
I was thinking that I was doing that, trying to have 2 of the big conservative.
I can now actually read these cards.
And my knowledge is showing.
That's 18,000 stars. Yeah, so about 400 plays.
I don't know if that's
No,
important.
that's just the JPEG, that thing?
If you want to deal with 2 separate things, and probably from that perspective, you're probably better off with the deal The other one you can try is 10.2. 192.168. I don't think it's coping well with the 2 different subnets. I've run into issues.
Or
It's
resolution.
2 IP addresses with the same subnet man.
Okay.
Is the first step to be looking what the issue is.
Okay.
Seeing if that does it, but it could be something radically different than that, not related to that at all.
So there's those that can not.
Go on.
10.1 and 10.2.
Well, the other thing is, if I'm running the cable, I've got one part of my 24 dot something, because that's what my cable company provides. The other side internally, I'm running 192.168, because I wanted everything on the inside to be non-routable. And therefore
One
not
picture of
visible out.
hugging that one.
That's right, there's more server versions.
3 dozen.
Yeah,
And that's
it
the
was
only
for a while.
one. Yep.
It has a radically different CPS.
That's a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been that way for a while. But the key is that, it was two separate Class A addresses, sorry, 192 versus 10. And the club asked for both the 255, that 255, that 255, that 0, but they're on. What was the exact error again?
Route, command, failed, file exists, and it comes with fly. Fly is just not possible. It's not.
There's more to it than
It's interesting, just, I don't know if this makes interesting difference, but everybody and I can change.
Wait. What type of mix are you running?
3-com, one stage, 3-com, 3C900, one 3C900 combo, one to 3905, 3C905, yeah. It's a 10 negative with a RJ and a BNC and 6 arms. Yeah. Right.
The cards,
That is just a bit of information.
I know when we were testing what server for e-business, there was a problem in one of the early stages that I thought they fixed. That if the cards weren't of the same capability, it meant to be the same vendor. If one was a 10 negative card and the other was a 10 or 100 card, not only you get both to work, you were running everything at the lowest speed. So that you couldn't have.
I don't think the file is.
No, I don't think you would either, but
It will boot up and run. I mean, once I get past it, PCIP will run for a while.
work server for e-business, when it boots, so activity or
Route, command failed, file exists, twice, and it's activity key.
This is a land attached or dial-up?
Land attack.
Land attack?
It's a server. It's e-business server with 2 names, both 3-com, 1 to 10, 1 to 10. It's big stuff, and then once it's big, I can get PCIP working. Yes, they are, we're fine. Land tram, same time.
Yeah, but I'm on read that they're being reset.
Yeah, you got, that's what I got.
Yeah, you're set up that same meter.
Right, I hear you.
Let me take a look at it.
Okay.
one other question. Have you checked landtran.log if you
And it's everything fine. One interesting thing, just, I don't know if it's just, for this not, occasionally I will see the message, NPTN not message not found. If I go find that file and put it back in, same thing will work for a while.
I think you got it.
The setup command.
go into your local PCIP setup, roll away everything,
Okay.
and put it back in? I guarantee, I bet you 95% you fix it.
Run the PCIP config again.
Yeah, roll everything, all the route tables away, including the local, the name code, assigned to the route table, put them back in. You have host and you have
Okay.
roll it all away and put it back in.
Okay.
I bet you it works.
Thanks.
Why does this sound like IBM took an approach similar to Microsoft? You know, you fix a lot of Windows 95 and 98 problems, reinstall Windows. And I somehow managed to install it incorrectly, just once, and even though I was all the way on the registry setting on it,
go back and reinstall it, it still wouldn't work. And when doing the fresh install time in class, then it worked.
And you'll appreciate this. Any other developers in the room? All right, remember how the get last error message and the whole error message stack was designed? And in other words, the person who designed that API and whatever was either dealing with sleep deprivation when they designed it, or had been doing something to alter their mental state to look, anybody that's played with a registry knows that what must have happened is that IBM fired the sucker and he went to work for Microsoft, because the registry is clearly version 2 of the same nonsense. God, that's the worst. I'm sorry. This is being webcast, right?
I recently installed a new, large, say, 10 gig IDE server, and I'm having trouble getting the system to recognize the entire drive. It's probably recognizing 2 gig. Tried the standard IBM driver and Danny S. 506 driver, and see if that makes any difference. So far, I haven't had any luck.
There is a fix, right, there is a fix for this, but the latest IBM 1S506, by the way, if anybody hasn't seen it yet, 6-pack 12, you want 6-pack 12. It's very, very good, very stable.
They're selling it for $5 at the BMC desk on the CD, 6-pack 12.
Anybody that has a cable modem, I gotta tell you this story, real quickly, and I'll come back to this. Trying to figure out the difference between cable modem and ADSL. Bell Atlantic came in to do a test, and I already had cable modem because Comcast came out before Bell Atlantic. Anybody live in a Bell Atlantic area? Have you ever requested DSL from them, and they give you a delivery date and they say it'll be here next week? They just don't tell you which month next week it is. And yes, that's true. In any event, they were touting that ADSL was super because you had dedicated bandwidth versus shared bandwidth. Had somebody out from Bell Atlantic to do a demo. We had Walnut Creek, right? You figure it's reasonably reliable FTP site. I loaded up one FTP session, and I get about ISDN rates, and the guy from Bell is saying, "See, that's what you're going to get. You got this cable mode." So I loaded up 10 more, and they're all running anywhere between ISDN and about 150. And he's sort of mumbling, because as I loaded up the same 11 sessions on the ADSL, instead of getting 640K throughput, it actually degraded. But then I downloaded the entire IBM Java for Windows and OS2, plus all of the 6-packs, all told, about 150 meg. I did it at about 3 in the morning, and Comcast has fiber on the pole, which means there's more bandwidth than I can possibly suck by myself, and at night it switched. It took about 12 megabytes to download 12 minutes to download 150 megabytes. I can live with it. I can absolutely live with it. Cable modem or ADSL is one of those things that within about 3 seconds, you're going to get this stupid, silly little grin on your face. And you're going to go, why did I wait so long? No, because you see, he said I died and went to heaven. There's just one problem. Now I think it's slow. What have I found that's faster? Nothing. That's the problem. What I'd like to do, I think, is bring in, 3 or 4 P3s at the same cost as the cable modem. What? An OC12, I can live with that. An OC12 would be fun. I got used to bad connections. Coming back from Nagano, we were connected on a DS3. Back to Stromberg. That was late. I was hitting a friend of mine's website who has cable modem, and I'm probably the only person in the world that's going to tell you the service is slow. Because I was sucking stuff down at about 45 meg, and all he was capable of delivering was about 1.5.
But in any event, back to your question. Thanks. Let's go through it again, just for everybody.
This is the question of installing a new large ID driver.
Yep. And the non-recognizing car drive. And you have the latest fixes, right? And you had tried getting one of the, right, 506,
I don't like fixes because it's a fix. I tried it on, what's it, the reader. I just tried it on regular work.
Work server for e-business? Work server for e-business had problems with a 10 gig drive?
What a brand of drug.
Yeah, really, this is an IBM drive.
Next question.
IBM drive? Work server for e-business couldn't handle 10 gig IBM drive. You broke all the gifs on the page.
Huh?
I think you broke all
Yeah, I
the
did.
Okay.
When I saved it with Netscape,
It broke all the gifs.
Yep. I don't know what it did. I didn't look at it, but I saw that it did that. Yeah, it's probably just a bad directory or something.
What was that?
Flash cards. Pictures. It's pretty cool, eh?
Oh, at a camera?
Yeah, I have a
Oh,
camera.
okay.
8 meg cards.
Wow.
Yep.
One of my friends has got one of those new ones that just used to stick to the top of the camera.
Well, floppy's nice, but... Huh?
What you got?
Yeah.
Same size as that, 40 meg. Yeah, but you can only post like one floppy worth of pictures on each one of them. But
Right. Well, this is 8 meg, so... I got, what, 18 on the last one, and...
If the BIOS is showing you that drive, shows you the correct number of cylinders it has, but out here it's still saying it's only 2 drive, it's hardware. I'm sorry, yes, you did. But the final total is what you're looking at. And this number in the right-hand corner, if you're looking at that extreme right-hand number, that's 2 8.
Wait a minute, all right, and you said the head cylinders and sectors exactly agreed with the manufacturer's specifications?
What are those talking about, submitting a bid?
All three, cylinders, heads, and sectors. And they all agree.
Whose comment was, we need to start working together in Warpstock much earlier than 3 begins in volume.
Let me say that, he has what he thinks is a 10-gig drive.
Right.
I don't think that there is an IBM OEM drive.
Yes.
Okay, so we got that. There is a bunch of IBM OEM drives being released by June, July, August, which have that problem, and they need a firmware update. So they have a crap of firmware in that IBM OEM drive, so get a change or get a firmware upgraded. Firmware problem, that's right.
We didn't announce when you do it. I know. People were rolling out because everyone thought it's closing.
Oliver, thank you.
Sure we can't.
This is one that I thought I for sure knew how to do, but maybe there's one.
Oliver Marsh from Germany.
I got a new machine recently, so I was giving my old one, my brother and sister-in-law, computer.
Do you like them?
Yes. Okay, I'm just checking. No, I know their needs. Their needs are word processing, internet connection, and it will do that great with it. There's plenty of capacity. Anyway, they needed an inkjet printer to go with it. So I got the new drivers for the EP Omni driver and that EP, the Lexmark drivers for Lexmark 3200. I tested it out on the system at home before I took it over to their house, made sure I had the drivers right, everything set up, it was working. It's great, 3200 will work. And then got over to their house, set everything up again. When I tested it at home, I was swapping between the original printer driver that was on that machine that I was using was for an old dot matrix I hooked up to it. So the printer object I was switching between the dot matrix driver and the Lexmark machine. I installed bi-directional high-speed drivers so that Lexmark would get better throughput, and switching back and forth on a printer object worked fine.
When I got over to their house and set it up, I didn't want them confused by the fact that there was this printer object that still talked about the Scott Matrix printer, so I just created a new printer object, set it up to use the Lexmark driver, plugged everything in, and it's talking to it, but I'm getting really lousy throughput, like, long time. It's like there's either a bad connection over the cable, or I did check the BIOS to make sure that you've enabled either APC or bidirectional printing in the BIOS. Yes, because I had to do that in order to get it to look right when I was testing it at my house before I took it over to their house. So I didn't change any of the settings I had at my house. The only thing that I did change, which I didn't think would make any difference, is I just created a new printer object specifically for that printer and set up the driver the same way. I was using my parallel cable. I got a new one for them. Could be that parallel cable.
You want to try another cable?
Yeah, they were both the same Belkin IEEE 1284 cable. No, okay, so check. Right. Okay. Okay. All right.
Also, in transit, do a couple things. Number one, take an erasers to the contacts on the cable, and reseat cards after it's been moved. And one other, check the inside of the pins. The 25-pin connector going into the computer. Make sure you don't have a pin. Yeah, that's part of checking to make sure that all the things are seated. Yeah, but is there a ribbon cable that goes from the connector to the motherboard? Again, check to make sure, because if any of those, if the cards are loose, the ribbon cables are loose, anything's come loose, if it's not the cable, as Rich suggests, and that's where I start first, right, then there's got to be something else. And then the real something?
I was just going to say also in the future, don't delete that printer object so you make sure the new printer object works. Okay, so what happens if you continue to use the old printer object with that new cable? Okay, that almost, I'm sure they went to the printer cable or something.
Anybody else? No, I'll do it. Go for it. Well, come on. Hey, with all due respect, what I like for a publisher, they'll take any format I give them. It's sort of like Model 2, as long as it's Microsoft Word. And the problem is that I've tried giving them star offers. I've tried giving them stuff out of Lotus Pro, Word Pro in Word format, and in some funky way, what they're doing, like Microsoft Word. And the bottom line, I don't care about Microsoft. The product works. I've been using Word since the DOS days, and I'll tell you, for some things, the DOS version of Word is better than anything that Microsoft has done for Windows. But I can do stuff with that stick. Hey, I have an associate that's marketing research, and in order to do the reports, he has to use Word because that was scriptable. Word for DOS because that was scriptable, and using style sheets in a way that you can't do with Word for any version of Windows, including 2000. So the bottom line is the tool, guys. That's all it is. Electronic pencil. That luckily corrects my spelling. Go ahead.
I've got two machines. One is a Warp server, advanced Warp server, and the other machine is it's got a removable drive, so it can have multiple personalities. When it's a Warp 4 workstation, it connects to Warp 4 server, no problem. I pull up the hard disk, put the other one in, which is MC workstation,
I can ping the server from the NT workstation. I can ping the NT workstation from Warp server. But I cannot get the IBM NT network client to see
You do have the IBM network client for NT,
Yes.
the latest one?
I believe the latest one was released in June of this year. And actually, there's two different choices you have to make, right?
Yep.
Yes.
The question is, does he have NetBIOS down to this day?
How does it not see it?
No, it's both, there's both TCP/IP and NetBIOS. Would it have anything to do with the second network card that's in that machine, which connects to connects my cable modem to a separate IP address?
Has the NT, where's the cable modem coming in? Is it a system with a removable drive?
Yes, that
Has NT ever worked with your cable modem?
yes, it does right now today. It just does not want to see the drive on the
And
server.
OS2 also works with the cable modem.
Right, OS2 works with the cable modem and sees the drive on OS2 and the server.
And ping works.
Ping works.
Just for curiosity's sake, do me a favor, start the FTP daemon on the OS2 side when you're running NT, all right, and see if you can FTP a file from or to the NT workstation when you're running it that way. Because part of what I want to do is just make sure that if we know, or we're assuming that it's only a NetBIOS problem, but just try something else besides the ping. All right. What? Well, no, because I've got the same environment to work, but without their removable drive.
That's correct.
And the workgroup and the domain match, right?
Yeah, well,
No,
the
not.
cable modem has its own domain.
No, it doesn't. If the cable modem has a domain name, you make everything else that same cable modem imposed domain name.
So, in other words, I need to rename my
Bingo.
domain name
Yep.
on the Warp server.
Absolutely correct. You have no choice if you want to go through and get to the cable and make those two talk to each other. That name must be the same. At least it has to be in Comcast country, which is where I'm coming from. All right. I had to change my internal stuff to match the cable modem imposed domain or workgroup name.
But when that workstation is set up as Warp 4, when the Warp 4 workstation hard disk is in the machine, it connects to the internet, the cable modem, but it also can see the resources, the hard disk, the serial, on the server. It's just NT doesn't. When NT is running, it does not see the resources of
On NT,
yes, NT workstation.
What service pack are you running to, by the way?
Service Pack 5. It downloaded, by the way, 34 meg file in less than 3 minutes. I love it. I love my
If
cable.
we haven't convinced you to get a cable modem or DSL, ADSL, XDSL,
I will not move back to Milwaukee because that kind of technology will not be available several more years.
all I know is my wife is not a technophile, as Randall is aware, and she has said to me, after experiencing speed, she said, nuts. I said, what's wrong? She said, well, we were looking at houses in this other market, but there's no cable modem.
Dave, it's funny. The other thing you may want to take a look at is trying to evaluate whether the problem is with the IBM client or it's something else related to that BIOS. So what I would suggest you try and do is from a command line on MP, try doing an explicit net use to one of the resources on the server, including all of the variations and switches on that for specifying the user ID and the password of the resource. Because if you can figure out that that's working, that will then identify that it's an issue either with the domain workgroup issue or something wrong with the network client itself. If that net use fails, and again, through all of its variations specifying the correct password and the correct user ID for the access to the resource, then you've got something related to a net BIOS problem probably.
I've got a board drive, and I get that working with OS2.
You got a what?
I've got that,
An orb?
media.
The orb? The castle with the orb drive? Real easy.
Parallel 4.
Not as easy.
Well, I want to use it on multiple machines.
It's the same drive, but it's a slightly different interface. The EIDE works. They've got a drive on their website. It's in beta. Click somebody's arm and I'll send it to you. Tell them you're evaluating it for your user group. Hint. If they ask you how many people started, 30 to 50, and you're looking at a group purchase, you get the idea. Yeah. But parallel, I don't know. I've got an org drive in a box, and I regularly switch back and forth between Linux, OS2, and Windows 98 on that box without any trouble. And yeah, it's in the ID drive. I know. Talk to Castlewood, see if they have drivers for it.
They haven't been showing it on the website.
No. Forget the website. Call them and ask explicitly. Yeah, that's right. But talk to them and see if you can tell them you need to participate in the beta. Where do you work?
Right now, it's Northwest Financial.
Just mention that.
I work. What group do you work in? It's the purchasing group, right? Or the product evaluation group. Is that correct? Good. We'll take care of you.
Here ended the lesson.
I have peer-to-peer networking set up in a small office, and I recently installed Warpstock for business on a machine and want to integrate that into this network with properly to replace go away the peer-to-peer network and so go to each machine and redo it.
If you look around the room, you see about 30 people going like this, and for those people outside the room on the webcast, you have 3 choices. And I can give it to you as a 1-word, 2-word, or 3-word answer. Yes, absolutely yes. Positively, absolutely yes. Okay? Yeah. The instant that you go and add any server product into peer services, you're adding a server product. This is a hint. A
a very strong hint. That's right.
Just one comment for some of you who are thinking about, going beyond computer stuff. In case any of you don't know, how many people in here either work in or have worked in a Nobel shop? Anybody? We got a couple. Nobel.
Or wants to admit it.
Okay.
Doesn't want to admit it.
Whichever the case may be.
Anybody know COBOL?
For those of you, like this gentleman, who's already got a couple of machines and he's adding a server to it, and you may not be able to afford for your house something like Warp server for your business. You really can't afford any real full-blown network package. Go to Nobel's site and look for their evaluation edition. It comes on, I think, 2 CDs. It's in 3 user licenses for Nobel. So you have 3 license connections. Look into that, because if you're looking to add a server and you want to do it on the cheap, and you can't afford these server packages, and that includes Warp server, whatever the case may be. You don't want to spend $700, $800, $1,000+ for these. Go to the Nobel site. They'll sell you the CD for $15 plus shipping.
Yes, Sun was offering a deal, and I don't know if it's still available, on Solaris for personal use. Is it still there? Like 1995 for like 6 or 7 CDs. Now, that was a statement. Here's the question. What is the #1 server that is being sold today? Hint, go back to the previous statement. And the answer, very good. What's number 2? No. What's number 2? Server. What? That's number 3. What's number 2? The number 2 server, as currently being sold today. We don't talk about install date. But seriously, the OS2 Warp server, what he is the number 2 selling server. What? And, oh, it does. Big time. Oh, and that's what was, and TCO and things, it's just like an amazing product.
It makes a wonderful platform for relishness.
Randall, I bet you just relish Warp server.
I most certainly do.
Can we have a clear look at what the rest of your product is?
I just wanted to clarify what you mentioned about the NetWare 5 eval, the recent eval. NetWare 5 does not ship with the OS2 requester anymore. However, from Nobel's website and the 2.12 request, or actually from IBM's site now, and you have the 2.12, it works fine on the NetWare 5. Full connectivity. The only thing that does not work properly is Console 1, which is Nobel's Java-based administrative system, does not work right using the OS2 requester. It uses the latest Client 32 APIs that are in, I hate to say it, the Windows app. Other than that,
That's in the which app?
the Windows app.
No, I still didn't hear. You speak into the mic. By the way, one quick comment. If you have a choice between getting OS2 drivers from the vendor or from IBM, my personal preference is to get it from IBM. It's more likely to have been more rigorously tested. Not guaranteed, but that's my own personal preference. Yeah.
Just one comment, if I can say it that way.
No, people might. my problem earlier. Warpstock free business, ships a 2-year-old driver with recon, Nick, and I got a 1-year-old driver for recon, and suddenly they started seeing the 10 kilometers. So, that's FYI.
Okay.
Just one quick comment about the Network 5. By default, I believe Network 5 will install only TCP/IP, which the OS2 client will not talk to. So you need to make sure that you also install IPX/SPX. Otherwise, your OS2 machine will have no connectivity whatsoever. I run a Nobel server at home with OS2 workstations. It's real nice. It's very, very nice. One of the things that I absolutely love is for any reason, if my server either goes away or I lose the connection or get a broken cable for any reason, and I lose my network connection, all I have to do once the connection is reestablished is go back to an OS2 command prompt and type login. How many Windows people out here can do that? Okay?
You're asking the question, how many Windows people out there?
Not out here. I'm talking about anywhere.
Okay.
Anywhere. How many Windows people out there anywhere can do that once they lose their server connection? The answer is, you can't. You have to reboot the machine. Am I the only one who thinks that's crazy?
No.
Thank you.
Would like to mention, as this group, anybody here knows the answer to a trivial problem on having a single client OS2 machine. I'm having a GUI problem that is distracting. If I open a file folder and then open a subfolder, the subfolder opens in the background.
You see where the problem, intimate see where the problem.
All from a video driver.
What's the new code?
API.
Yeah, which API?
Tell me it's a Mach 32.
I don't think it's that good.
My question's already.
Really? One question for you. What is the system as far as buses concerned? PCI?
PCI.
PCI? Okay.
Run Warp 4
My personal preference, and David can agree or disagree with this, is that the only video card that I really recommend as the very first choice is a Matrox card. And you could probably find on eBay a PCI Matrox card 4 meg for probably $20.
Yeah, Matrox P200 anyway. Either PCI or EDP.
For anywhere between 45 and 80 bucks brand new.
The problem is, I didn't have this phone when I first installed the full. I only had it now that I installed this pack 11.
Oh.
Either uninstall Fix Pack 11
or
install Fix Pack 12.
$5. $5. DMT. In the exhibit hall. They're selling Fix Pack 12, $5.
There have been historically problems with various fix packs and viewer problems. So there have been historically with various different fix packs, different forms of V-order problems like that. So it's quite possible it is related to the fix pack.
I happened to go fishing and I found this piece of paper that's a Chinese origin in my pocket. And Jim, I'd like you to read through some of the things that I'm making as well. Okay? It says, it is worth reviewing and pulling collectively. With that, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and attendance.
After 6:30? Well, hold on, Paul. I don't understand. Paul's. I said it. There's nobody. Oh, I don't know which one it was. This one here, okay. That's okay. I'm getting volunteers to run the camera. You shouldn't be sitting there. You put in your time.
Are y'all making tapes?
Not all.
For like, anybody use this after the event's over?
We did it for Peter Coffey's keynote and for Warp Jeopardy. we have also digitally recorded a few of them, and it plays like real player would play.
Yeah.
You know, 4 frames a second stuff.
Right.
We don't know if we're going to be allowed to put Peter Coffey's session on tape. That's got to be negotiated.
Right.
Or CD. We're going to try.
Yep. Running Windows 95 there.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The storming this thing runs under.
Yeah.
There's a funky little panel to your right. Push the lower right-hand button.
What microphone would you like me to use?
Whichever one you want. You got 5 of them up there, you pick one.
I would think I was going to sit down at the table up there and use one of those.
Okay.
John, okay. Good, they good. Yeah. I'll go over. Ain't no big deal to me.